Hi there, and welcome to another Scheepjes bloggers interview. Now, today I am joined with the absolutely fabulous Esther from It's All in a Nutshell. Esther, welcome. It's so nice to see you here.
It's great to be here.
It's been a little while since we've seen each other. We luckily were able to meet in person again at the Creado
In
yarn
October?
event in October, which was lovely. And of course, we've met in Yarndale a few years back.
Yeah.
For those of the audience that are joining today that aren't quite familiar with what you do, who you are, would you mind to do a brief introduction, as I'm sure you can do more justice than I can?
My name is Esther from It's All in a Nutshell. And people always say, why it's all in a nutshell? Because I like to be brief, in a nutshell, to the point, no big stories. So also from a craft point of view, that's kind of who I am and what I stand for. I love to crochet. That's a big part of my craft background. I'm also a teacher by trade in engineering, something completely different.
Wow.
But these two things actually are very compatible, because as an engineer, you need to be creative and think about problems and how to solve them. And as a teacher, you need to think about, how do I get the content across to my students? And both of those things are actually combined in my craft by thinking, how do I get content to people through videos in such a way that you feel that I can do this? Because that's at the end of the day my goal. I want to empower people that they feel I can do this. And that wow feeling that you get when you've done something, that's what I want you to achieve.
Wow, I love that. So it's so kind of insightful to come from crafting at such a kind of a deep level. So nice to hear. Esther, can I ask then, when did it all begin? When did you start to crochet and learn how to craft?
Well, those are actually two very different questions, because I've been crafting with yarn since I was about 5 years old or so, 6 years old.
Wow.
When I did mostly embroidery, tapestry. I've done tapestry really since I was very, very small. I've always had a very even tension. Even my mother would actually compliment me on that. That was always so neat. So I've done yarn craft for a very long time. But crochet as such, I've only really picked up in 2014. So that's a few years ago.
Yeah.
With the first CAL that Scheepjes had then from Marinka, that was actually my first crochet project. I was crocheting for about a month, and then I jumped into the Scheepjes CAL, and that's where my crochet life started.
Fantastic. I mean, quite a big project to start with. That must have been a huge feat to finish that lovely blanket as a first project.
Yes, it's great to do.
Wow. So what is it about crochet that you particularly like? I know you mentioned you've experimented in lots of other kind of crafts, and why crochet?
Well, I believe crochet gives you a lot of freedom to experiment with colors and with texture, and those are two things that I really value in making things. Is that you can feel what you're doing, as opposed to a lot of, for example, your tapestry is flat. You don't feel anything. It's just a flat surface, and crochet doesn't have that. So I really like the texture. And then you're experimenting with colors, because just one color, I can't do just one color. So those are the two things that I really like about crochet, and which gives me room to experiment.
Fantastic. And so is color like a big draw to how you design and the kind of projects you like to make?
Yes, because color is what is the first thing you notice when you see somebody wearing something. You think, oh, that's a nice dress, you'll say, but what'll trigger you is the color. That's the first thing and then you look at, okay, what does a dress actually look like? So color is something for me that draws me to a project. Sometimes you'll see a project and think, oh, it doesn't look nice, but when you make it in a different color, it suddenly looks amazing. So color is to me very, very important. Yes.
So the colors can really make or break a project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So out of
Absolutely.
interest, so what are your favorite shades to work in? Do you have a favorite kind of color combination?
Well, I like purples and pinks. Um, because and actually they work really well on video, those colors, so that people can actually see what I'm doing. But if I look really at for myself, I like yellow and gray, but many people don't feel comfortable with yellow, so that's often why I don't design with a lot with yellow and gray, because then people think, oh, but that's not my color. So to make sure that that people feel connected to my designs, I will also often make them in colors that I feel like people will connect to that. So that's why I often have samples in different colors. And you can say, okay, the pink one is for me, the green one is not for me, the blue one maybe, that people can kind of see, different, what it looks like in different colors.
Yeah, now you mentioned that you use you mentioned very briefly there, you use certain colors in your videos. Now you're particularly known actually for your videos and your fantastic video content. How did that all start? Did you mean to go down that kind of avenue and be so well regarded?
No, there was no plan here. Sometimes things just grow. Like I said, the Scheepjes CAL in 2014 was my first project, a make project, but actually that's also where I started the recording journey, because at that point I was just a maker. I was making the crochet along, and I noticed in the Facebook groups, the Scheepjes Facebook groups, that people were really stuck. They were just like, where do I need to put the hook? What stitch? What is, this stress that there was just in the groups. And I was thinking, if people could just see how to make the stitch, they would be fine, It's because there just wasn't this visual aid. And at that point, I contacted Marinka and I asked her, can I make video tutorials for your CAL? And at this point, I'm nobody here, no one. I'm just a random person in this Facebook group that's saying, can I make a video tutorial for their design? And what's so amazing is that she trusted me with this. She said, yes, please.
Wow.
So what I then did is I recorded the videos, literally just row by row, stitch by stitch, and I uploaded that to YouTube. And kind of that was my first project. At that point, I was crocheting for 3 months when I did those first series of videos, and they were very, very well received. And that kind of gave me a little bit of a boost, and I thought, okay, I can help people here. That's kind of what triggered me.
Yeah.
And then there was the next project that came on my path, was Sophie's Universe, designed by Deidre Ice. And again, here, kind of the same story. I contacted Deidre asking her, can I make video tutorials for Sophie's Garden, which is just the square, just the first 3 parts. And actually, again, Deidre was like, I think she had to think about this, but she still said yes. And then she said, would you make it for the whole blanket? And I was like, oh, that's more than I signed up for. But I was like, okay, I'm in this for the long haul. We'll do all of this. And really, Sophie's Universe, that gave me wings. What Deidre gave me was a platform to help people, and I'm eternally grateful to her for that, because the trust that Marinka and Deidre had in me was actually, in a certain sense, they were walking blind. They didn't know who am I, what am I going to do with their designs,
Yeah, right.
So that trust is I'm so grateful for that trust. And from there it just took off.
And I mean, so Sophie's Universe, of course, is it's quite a feat. When
Yes.
you initially started the video tutorials for that, did you realize at the time just how massive this project was?
No, in that sense, I was still a newbie at crochet. I had no concept of how game-changing this blanket will be, because Deidre's design, I really think I should, in a new period in crochet, in working with texture and working with color and working with different shape changing designs. So so really this was the start of a whole new era, and I'm so proud that Deirdre trusted me with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
No, I did not see this coming.
Now, something I have to say, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, it was a few people mentioned this when we were at Yarndale. Now, in the videos, you are so relaxed, your voice is so calm, and so many people feel so kind of soothed by this, because a lot of people come to the videos and are kind of like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. I'm struggling with an area and I need a bit of help. And I've received personally so many comments about your tone of voice and how relaxed it is and how it makes people feel. Was that intentional, or is that just how you like, or how you feel when you crochet?
It's a bit of that, but because I mean, there's a certain rhythm to crochet, and that rhythm is actually what I'm doing on the video. And you cannot be in a hurry when you crochet, because you need a certain time. Yarn over, stitch through the hook, yarn over, pull through. That takes a certain amount of time, and that means you're forced to slow down. And that's actually why I think why people love crochet so much, is you're forced to just slow down and focus on what you're doing. And that's exactly what I'm doing in the videos. And because you'll notice now I do talk actually in real life faster than I do on the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because crochet, the craft, slows you down. And I think that's the power of the craft, is that it brings you to a low energy level. That's good for all of us.
Yeah, kind of takes you out of the hustle and bustle
Yes.
of
Yes.
the day-to-day life, and
yes, and brings you down. And I do know that some people say they fall asleep to my videos because it's so relaxing. And I'm also thinking, I'm not sure that's a good thing if I bore you to death.
Well, maybe there's a market for you there in the future. Maybe like sleep audio kind of, audio books.
Who knows?
Fantastic. But you've, as I've said, though, I've received so many great comments about the kind of tone of your voice and also the way you explain stuff. So, I mean, congratulations on that front. You're really helping a lot of people.
Thank you.
So along with the tutorials, and you've mentioned the kind of work you've done with some of the other Scheepjes bloggers, how did it come out for you becoming a Scheepjes blogger? When did that all start?
If I recall correctly, that was in 2016. You would have to correct me on exactly when that was. Again, this was roughly after Sophie's Universe, and then and because at that point I was buying my own yarn, all of that, but I've already done a few of the projects, actually Scheepjes CALs, but I wasn't a Scheepjes blogger. I wasn't supported by Scheepjes in any way. I was doing this on my own. And Scheepjes contacted me and said, would you like to come visit us at our headquarters in the Netherlands? And I was like, oh, do I want to do this? This is so serious, and I'm just me, and I'm, so I went to visit. I had a lovely time there. I got to meet people who behind the scenes who run everything, and they basically said, would you like to join our team? And I was like, yeah, but I'm not a designer. I can't do that. I just do videos. That's all I do. And I said, no, but that's fine. That's what you're good at. And that's why we want you on board, and that's what I really appreciate in the Scheepjes team, is that since I've been there now for a few years, and what I really see is that we're all so different, and that we really complement each other. Is that I don't feel the stress of, I have to be a Deirdre, I have to be a Tatiana, and because I admire them so much, but at the same time there's room for me to just be me, and I think that's something we all need. We need a place to belong, and a place where you can just be, and I found that in the Scheepjes group, and I wish that for everybody, really.
Oh, wow, just so lovely.
Me,
Yeah, a place just to really
Where you
fit
fit,
in and
yeah, where you fit in, because we all want to belong.
yeah. Wow. And so the bloggers group, what out of interest, what does that kind of bring to you in terms of um not necessarily the feeling of belonging, but in terms of how do you collaborate? You do the tutorials, of course, but do you support each other on your kind of ideas and design work? Do you bounce ideas off each other?
Um, well, yes, definitely. If I look at my Trinity mandalas, which was my first like real serious design, I actually that came about by a challenge that Deidre set me. She said, take 10 colors of yarn, and start crocheting and design something. And if you one did not sketch it out before, two did not rip it out at least 3 times, go back and do it again.
What great advice.
And then I would so often I have like a sample, and then I'll pop her a photograph, or I'll pop some of the other people a photograph. So just what do you think? Is this working? And then I'll get feedback. Yeah, the colors are good. You need it's a bit skew. You just need one stitch to the left. Things like that. So yes, I've really experienced support also from a design point of view, but also just from life can be tough in general, and that's also why I just experience support in the group. It's invaluable.
Wow, so a lot of support, a lot of connection within the group.
Yes.
That's so lovely to
Yes.
hear. And so the bloggers group, you mentioned you initially kind of came into that with an invitation from Scheepjes.
Yes.
And because of the tutorials and stuff you were doing, and then you said you started to design. Now, was designing something that you wanted to do initially, or did you just find yourself kind of meandering down that kind of route?
Yeah, it again, this came on my path, as the video tutorials came on my path, and sometimes things just come on your path, and you just kind of go with that. There's no plan. That's kind of how my whole crochet life is. There is no plan. Just see what comes, and I still don't consider myself a designer. I still don't. Some people call me a designer, but I still feel like, no, I'm just a glorified video tutorial maker.
That, I mean, that absolutely blows my mind, because you've got some fabulous designs, some absolute corker designs,
Yeah,
and you don't
maybe
class yourself as a designer.
no, maybe you always look up to people and you think, I could never do that, and kind of that, because then you kind of forget to look at your own things, and I'm sure if there are people who would look at my designs, like you say, in the same way, say, oh, I could never do that. So we all have that we look up to people and then forget what we do ourselves.
Totally.
So yes, you're absolutely right. There are some great designs that I've somehow amazingly thought of.
It really blows my mind that, as you mentioned, you don't necessarily class yourself as a designer, yet I know you've got so many fabulous designs. One of them you've literally just released. Care to do a little show and tell and talk us through this project?
You're talking about the shawl, right? Or the
I
mandala?
certainly am. Yeah, the shawl. Let's take a look at the shawl, because it is absolutely stunning.
Well, I'll hide behind it. It's kind of hard to get this on one page, but you see it starts here with a bit of light and a purple, like we said, purple, and then goes through a color change to a dark, deep purple. Wow. And this is Scheepjes Merino Soft and Scheepjes Whirl Fine Art, which is a color changing whirl. The fine art, just like the regular whirls, which everybody knows, but so there's also like its big brother, the Whirl Fine Art, which is a merino yarn. And I've extended it both ways with the Merino Soft, because those are the like it's matching pairs. And then you can extend the whirl from one color, and then you've got color transition to next. And I've got this diamond pattern in here because I kind of, diamonds are a girl's best friend.
That
Oh, no, that's yarn. That's all wrong. That's all wrong. Yarn is a girl's best friend. But still. And you know what's great about this? I just like the drape of this. It's the merino soft is heavy. It's a yarn. So it gives you a wonderful drape. It's really soft. Okay, I'm all blabbing about the yarn, but you of course want to talk about the design.
Well, no, the yarn is, we will come back to the yarn. I've got a few questions about yarn for sure, but the design is absolutely stunning. So you've used kind of the gradient shifting whirl fine art in your favorite colors, in the purple.
Yes, in the purple. Yes.
Now, with the designing of this and with your other designs, how do you set out initially starting something like this? Do you just pick up the yarn and see what happens, or do you like to sketch your designs? How do you like to do it?
All of the above. It kind of depends what I'm making. If I'm making a mandala, I will definitely start with sketching it out. For example, this is a mandala that I've just released in Crochet Now. So I also started with just drawing I'll draw a circle and I'll draw the baubles, the popcorns, and then I'll kind of take it from there. And then I'll sketch a few rows and I'll try to recreate that with the yarn. And when I'm happy, I'll sketch a few rows again. So especially for mandalas, that works really well. The
colors of that are phenomenal.
Like
You've
I said,
really
I love
done
color.
A sterling job at just gorgeous.
Yeah, I cannot do one color. Cannot. So for this shawl, my goal here was actually very different. I was looking for something that would I would like to call it TV crochet. It's something that you can make while watching your favorite series or a movie or something like that. That you will get a fabulous end result, but you don't have to look at every single stitch because if you don't, but you've got to keep all your wits about you. So I was kind of looking for something that would flow a little bit easier, and that's the results of this. So it's got a reasonably, it's only 2 stitches, only double crochets, US terms, and chains. So only 2 stitches, so your brain doesn't have to remember more than that. And you can just go with the flow. And those are 2 things that I both like to design, more complex things like this mandala, but also just easy crochet. Relaxed crochet.
Now you've got the shawl, of course, which we've just touched on, and you've also got that gorgeous mandala that you've just shown us. Now I know because of our connections off screen, you've got a bit of a thing about mandalas, haven't you?
Yeah, I really do. I really do. There's just something zen about them. This is my small Trinity mandala, for example.
Wow.
Again, a favorites. I really like these. This is a small one. There's also a medium one, which is slightly larger. Gotta get it in front of the camera, slightly larger. And then the large one, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna try the large one.
Too big.
My summer flower mandalas. This one in different colors. Again, you'll notice can't do one color. Cannot do one color.
Well, why stop at one color when you got all these options?
Blooming Dreams mandala. Cannot do one color. So yes, I do. This is just what I've got here. I've got more everywhere. I love mandalas. People always ask me, what do you do with them? Well, I just put. Do with them? Yeah. Well, I think they make great decorations in, for example, a hallway. A stair where if your staircase goes up, against the wall as you go up, you would just randomly place them on the wall. Because my family kind of doesn't always want crochet stuff in their living space, which I kind of can appreciate. So hallways are great places to put mandalas on walls, and that's actually often why I put these mandalas in a ring. You'll see it has its own structures, and this ring makes it very easy to just put a nail in the wall and just pop it over that nail and hang it on the wall. And if you make, for example, 20 different mandalas, but all in the same color scheme, even if they're from different designers, they will still match up. And then you'll have this beautiful mandala wall, all in the same color tone, your favorite colors. And can't go wrong.
Wow. I mean, gorgeous. So the creations that you have there, are they showcased in your house, or are they?
Well, no, because I take them with me when I go to a fair or something. So no, but I do actually have pillows on my couch, which I've crocheted. Those are the only ones that are actually allowed in the living space, are the pillows. And I've got a blanket that kind of I've got this big blanket. It's my Bavarian Buster blanket. It's actually a scrappy blanket, and my son likes to just be under it and watch TV. So that one's also in the living space.
Fantastic. Yeah, nice blankets like that are there's this great feeling, isn't there, around having something handmade and large just to snuggle up and nest in.
Yes, and that blanket is also heavy. It's 4 kilograms of yarn.
Wow, that's
and when you consider that it's acrylic yarn, which is relatively light, you can appreciate how big the blanket is.
That is a large blanket. So the mandalas that you've made, well, you've got one that's actually just coming out in Crochet Now this month.
Yes.
As have I, might I add. We are next to each other on the page.
Yes. Yes. How cool is that?
I know, that's how awesome. Yeah. But I actually struggle with that kind of thing, if I'm honest, because of I'm not very good at figuring out the maths and the kind of increasing and making sure that it lies flat. Is that something that comes quite naturally to you? I find that very hard.
Well, actually, I find maths rather easy.
Okay.
I am an engineer. I have a maths degree. So maths isn't that much of an issue. Actually, I always, when people say, "Oh, it doesn't lie flat," it cups or it wobbles. Indeed, then you have too many or too few stitches. And actually, a bit of a ballpark rule of thumb that I often tell people: now, your first round, however many stitches you have in that first round, is the number of stitches that you should add every round.
Okay.
So if you start with 12 double crochets, then each row should have 12 double crochet stitches extra. And of course, if it's single crochet or if it's half double, it kind of changes because the stitches are just slightly less long or more long. But rule of thumb, you start with 12 stitches, you need to add 12 stitches every round.
Well,
like
I am kicking myself right now. Why didn't we have this conversation before I tried that mandala? Because it would have saved me a lot of heartache. Well, now you know.
Now you know.
Great advice. So with that, I'd love to ask you actually, because you've, as we've said, moved from your tutorials into your designing. Do you have any advice for somebody that maybe is thinking about, oh, I'd like to try designing something? Do you have any advice of where to start or how to approach that?
I would really encourage people to stay close to who you are in the sense of things that you like to make. For example, I do not design clothing. I do not like crochet clothing. It needs to fit. So you need to worry about gauge. Way too stressful. It is. That's why I do blankets, cushions, home decor. It doesn't need to fit. And so that's, and I like that relaxing aspect. So that's why I stated, stay with things that you like to do, things that you like to make. And there will always be people who don't like what you're making. Let that go. They are not the people you are designing for. So focus on the things you like to make and the colors you like to use, the yarns you like to use, and you're in essence design something that you love, and then there will be people who love that too. And that's the most important thing.
Wow. I mean, that is great insight and great, to carry with you if you're thinking about designing. You heard it here first. Esther, so with your designs, so you've done a lot of work recently with the magazines, for example, Crochet Now. Would you care to explain a little bit about kind of your relationship with Crochet Now and your most recent kind of collaborations? Because I'm very lucky to receive Crochet Now on my doorstep every month, and I see you popping up very frequently.
Yes, that's true. Because at the moment, well, it's almost finished actually. But finishes I think this month or next month. Enigma is a blanket that I've designed for Crochet Now as a crochet along. So each month, so over I think 13 issues of the magazine, you get a part of the pattern. And Enigma, I've purposefully named this blanket Enigma. Enigma is something you don't quite understand, you don't know what you're doing, and that's exactly what I was feeling with designing this blanket. I've got no idea what I'm doing, and I kind of that name just stuck with me. So indeed, in Crochet Now, there's a part every month, and this is my design sample. This is part of the blanket. Can you see?
That is absolutely stunning.
This is not actually the entire thing. It's only about half of it, because it's only about half the blanket, because you see how it goes is you make something at least 3 times when you design something, and this was, I think, time 1.5. You start with something, your stitch count is off, it's skewed, then you rip that out, you do it again, the colors don't work, you do it again, it's too boring, you do it again, all of that. So yes, this blanket, I am just a little bit proud of this blanket, if I'm very honest.
I mean, you should be. It's stunning. It's really gorgeous. Something to be proud of, really. And so how many times have you actually made this blanket? Did you make it 3 times yourself? 4 times?
I made 4. I've made 4.
And how long did that take you?
Well, the final one was just an extra sample in a different yarn. And so then the pattern was okay. And that took me, I think, 2 weeks.
That's quick.
Yeah, but that's 2 weeks, but that's like hours and hours in a day that I'm crocheting, that I'm just sitting on the couch, just get the sample done. But no, I've actually made 4 of these. And the first 2 were really the designing steps, like ripping out, doing them again. And then numbers 3 and 4 were like, okay, these are the samples that are going to be good. Yeah, so the ones that you can make photographs of.
Fantastic. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And I mean, congratulations on the kind of success of that.
Thank you.
And it's also lovely that you've been able to collaborate with Crochet Now and release that as a CAL.
Yes. Yes.
Really.
Again, I'm very amazed at the trust the magazine puts in me. It's humbling.
Did you imagine that way back in 2014 that you would be headlining in the magazines?
No. I mean, like I said, you don't set out for that. You just want to. At the end of the day, I just want to make something pretty.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make something pretty, and I want to help people make pretty things themselves.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Just lovely. So moving forward, is there do you have kind of ideas of what you'd like to do with your design work moving forward? Are there going to be more designs? Where are you with
that? Hard question.
Yeah.
Again, the path I'm on is it doesn't go further than about 6 months or so. So it's, again, I just look where my path goes. At this point, I have a few video projects that I'm working on. Can't tell, top secret.
Top secret. Sorry. Can't wait to hear about those though when you can
time will tell. So I've got a few top secret projects I'm working on, and that'll bring me towards the end of the year. And then I'll see what comes on my path again.
Just see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah. It's almost like life is a mandala.
Yes.
You never know what the next row is going to bring.
Exactly. It's true. And don't worry about the next row.
Yeah.
It'll take care of itself.
Wow. I mean, who would have thought a Scheepjes blogger interview could become so insightful? Look at us. Spreading insight to the crafting community. With the crafting community actually in mind, how has that been for you, connecting with people and hearing the great feedback, and how does that make you feel when you hear how you've supported people?
I always find it two things. I always feel like so happy for others that they've been able to make something, and that feeling of, yes, I can do this. That makes me so happy. It's really that's why I do what I do. So that's always very joyful for me, and at the same time also very humbling each time that I think, wow, that I can help you. That, you know, yeah, it's a humbling feeling to know that I can help somebody else, and that empowering someone else. That's what drives me. So the joy and humbling. Those are the two feelings that come to mind in the crafts community to me.
So Esther, I mean, you're massively appreciated, as we've just said, by the crochet and craft community. But I do know that you have quite recently received an award, an accolade. Would you mind to share that with us? Because it's really amazing. And look at this. This is like an Academy Award from YouTube.
Yes. Yes,
what is this then?
So I hope you can see this. This is a physical thing that I've received from YouTube. This is a plaque to commemorate 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
We've already passed this mark. We're now at, like, I think 120 or so. But I am insanely proud of this, because this tells me there are 100,000 people out there that I can help, and that can make pretty crochet things with yarn. And wow, thank you everyone who subscribes to my channel, because if it's not for you, then I've got nothing to do.
That's just amazing. Like, what did that mean to you, hitting that kind of I'm sure it's not just about the numbers for you, but I'm also sure that it did mean something, hitting that kind of landmark number.
Like, I really, like I said, I go, it really is mind-blowing in the sense, like, because when I record, I'm sitting at my dining room table, just me, myself, and I, and that's it, you know. So then you kind of forget that there are so many people out there that watch these videos, and this kind of helped me to remember that there are people every day watching my videos.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? If you, in a relatively short time, to go from creating some content to support designers into becoming a, like, fully established designer yourself, but then also being kind of so well regarded by the community, and then receiving accolades from YouTube, and it's really amazing.
Yes, and it is, and like I said again, that's very humbling to see that there are so many people who appreciate your work.
Just fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, and thank you for doing such a great job. It's just brilliant to have all the content and the great things that you produce. So well done, really. Esther, it's been such a pleasure connecting with you again today. I thank you for your time. I know you're experiencing a really, really busy time with all of your work, and also your design work and tutorials, all of it. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Now, if you want to check out more of Esther's work, please have a look at her website. It's allinanutshell.com. And do check out her Instagram page as well. Also, It's All in a Nutshell. And don't forget, of course, she's on YouTube with the great tutorials. And you can find links to all of Esther's designs, as well as all of the other bloggers' designs over on the Scheepjes website. So please do check that out, www.scheepjes.com. Until next time, happy crafting.